And thank you for joining today's webinar. We're glad to have you with us today. My name is Sue Moore. I'm the VP of Marketing at FreeWave, and before we get started, I'll take you through a couple of housekeeping issues. Today, I'm joined by Andrew Livingston, our FreeWave Senior Sales Solution Engineer, who will take you through today's discussion. The session is being recorded and will be available following today's webinar. Your line will be muted throughout the session, and we will be hosting a Q&A session at the end of the presentation, so feel free to submit your questions as we move through the slides. You can do so via the questions panel on your screen. And with that, I'll hand it over to you, Andrew.
Hi, and thank you for joining. My name is Andrew Livingston. I'm a senior sales engineer here at FreeWave Technologies. And today I'm going to start with something simple. The biggest danger is not a hacker you can see. The biggest danger is being wide open when you don't even know it. Because most attackers, they don't start with a break-in mentality. They start with a search. Attackers scan the internet all day and every day. They're looking for anything that's easy to find. An exposed system, an open port, a visible IP address, a vendor connection that's never got shut off. And here's the hard truth. If your network is visible, someone can test it. If they can test it, they can find the weak spots. And once they find these weak spots, the rest gets a lot harder to protect. So let's make it real. Think about your home. If you leave your front door unlocked at night, maybe nothing happens tonight, maybe nothing happens for a month, but the risk is there every single day. It only takes one bad night for everything to change. Industrial and operational networks are the same. Most teams aren't trying to be careless. They're trying to keep the business running. They add remote access, they add vendor access, cloud access, they add site access. And slowly the environment gets more exposed and anyone can access it, even if they're not meant to. So today what we're going to talk about is one big idea that changes the game. If an attacker cannot see you, they cannot target you. If there's nothing to expose, there's nothing to exploit. This is the theme for today's webinar, and I want you to keep this in your head the whole time. We're not here to add another tool that creates more work. We're here to remove the attacker's starting point. In today's webinar, we're going to go over what problem we solve, why you need it, even if you think you're fine today, the value and the cost per day, and the next steps to engage with FreeWave and our authorized partners. Industrial and operational networks used to be closed. They were built to run machines, not to be online, and many of them were designed at a time when the safest plan was simple: keep it separate. But now things have changed, and they've changed on purpose. Today, we connect these systems because the business needs it. We want faster support, we want remote troubleshooting, we want updates without driving to a site, we want data from the edge to help decisions. So now we have remote workers, we have vendors who need access, we have cloud systems that need data, we have sites that are spread out everywhere, and sometimes with little local IT support. And here's the key point. Access grew faster than security. Most teams, they didn't plan for the big change. They added access little by little. A VPN here, a firewall rule there, let's give a jump box for vendors, a tunnel for special systems, and it worked. At least it worked at first. But over time, these dangerous things happened. One, access went up. More people and more systems needed access. That meant more doors are open, more keys, and really more expectations to get access. Visibility went down. When systems were spread out, it got harder and harder to see everything. You ended up with an unknown access path. You ended up with temporary firewall rules that became permanent. What that meant was old access paths really never died. This is the one thing that hurts the most. Maybe a vendor account had access and it was created for a project. That project ended, but the access stayed. A port get opened for troubleshooting, the issue got fixed, but the port stayed open. That's what creates uncontrolled exposure. And because this is operational technology, the impact is bigger than normal IT problems. This is not just a cyber issue. This turns into a real-world problem. Outages that stop work, safety risks when machines don't behave the way they should behave, compliance headaches because you can't prove who had access when they had it. So the reason networks are more exposed today is very simple. We connected them for good reasons, but we often use old access methods that were not built for this world. So here comes the next question. Do we keep trying to patch this with more tools, or do we change our approach? This is what we're going to talk about next. Now we get to the big shift. Most security days like putting more locks on a door that is already visible to everyone. Picture a house on a busy street. There's a big sign that says front door right here, and the door is easy to find. So what do? We add locks, we add cameras, we add alarms, we add guards. This is what many security stacks look like. Firewalls, VPNs, jump servers, monitoring, more tools. Those tools can help, but here's the problem. They often protect you after an attacker can already see you. They fight the battle after discovery has already happened. Modern security flips the script. The new idea is simple. We should remove the target. We should remove the visibility. Because if attackers cannot see the door, they cannot easily attack the door. So the goal becomes three plain things. 1. Eliminate the attack surface. Don't just defend it. This means fewer exposed IP addresses, fewer open ports, fewer always-on tunnels, less stuff sitting out there saying, try me. Number 2. Give access to the services, not the whole network. A lot of old access gives people a big hallway into the building. Once they're in, they can see way too much. Modern access says you only get the one room you need and nothing else. 3. Verify trust on every session, not just one time. Old access is like this. You get logged in once, and so you're trusted for a long time. That's risky. Modern access is like this. Every time you connect, we check again. Who are you? Are you allowed? Is this the right device? Is this the right time? And that is how you stop bad things from spreading. So this is the shift. We stop building bigger walls around visible targets, and we start making the target harder to see and harder to reach. This is how you change the game. Now let's talk about the so what in plain words. Here's the big takeaway. Most attackers, they don't even start with a genius hacker plan to break in. Most attacks start with something simple. They start with looking. Attackers scan the internet the way that we scroll through video feed. It's fast, it's consistent, happens all day. They're not picking you because they hate you. They pick you because you're easy to find. If your systems are visible, they can be scanned. If they're scanned, they can be mapped. If they can be mapped, they can definitely be tested. And this is how they find one weak spot and get a foothold in your environment. Think of it like this. If your building has a sign that says door over here, people are going to try it. If the door is hidden, most people can't even start. So when we talk about security, the goal is not just to block bad guys later. The goal is to stop them from getting a starting point. This is why it matters. Because your firewall and your VPN are usually fighting the battle after you've already been found, and being found is the first one for the attacker. So if we want to reduce the risk in a real way, we have to change the starting point. We have to stop being discoverable. We have to reduce what the attackers can see. If they cannot see you, they cannot easily target you. And that's how we change the game. Let me guess what many of you are doing today. You're stacking tools. When a new problem shows up, you add something. You add a VPN for remote access. You add firewall change for special cases. You add a jump host for vendors, PAMs to control who's logging in, a tunnel for a special site, another tool to monitor all of this. This is not because you're doing a bad job. This is because you're trying to keep the business running. You're trying to keep support in the field, trying to meet compliance, trying to keep up with all these different requests that are out there. But stacking tools creates a bigger problem. It creates fragmentation. Fragmentation means security becomes a patchwork. One tool does one part, another tool does another part, and nobody has the full picture at all times. And once this becomes patchwork, a few things happen. Number one, we have more vendors and we have more cost. So every tool comes with a license, every tool comes with training, it comes with updates, and every tool comes with someone who has to own it. So cost goes up even when risk doesn't really go down. The second problem is we have more things to manage every day. This is a hidden tax. Someone has to create accounts, someone has to approve access, someone has to open firewall rules, someone has to keep track of all of this and still needs more access, and someone has to turn this off later. And in real life, turning it off later is where it breaks. People are busy, emergencies happen, and temporary access stays forever. Problem 3, you're still visible. This is the biggest one. Even with all the tools, attackers can still find you. Because a VPN still creates a door, a tunnel still creates a path, all these ports are still open that shows up on scans. So what happens? The attacker still gets the first win. They still discover you, and once you're discovered, they have all the time to test and they have time to probe. This is why pen tests keep finding the same issues. We have too much access, flat networks, weak vendor controls, and all this access path nobody's remembered that are open or not open. So here's the point of the slide. Fragmentation makes security feel busy, it makes it feel expensive, and it's taxing on us. But it doesn't remove the attacker's starting point. You could spend more time and more money and still stay visible. So what I want you to do now, I want you to raise your hand mentally if vendor access is hard to control. As you're thinking about that, again, keep your hand raised mentally if you worry about old access path. If either of these are true, you're exactly who this webinar is for. This is the moment I want you to remember. Security is not just blocking the bad guys. Security is also hiding what shouldn't be seen. Because most attackers, they don't start by breaking down a strong door. They start by looking for an easy door. They scan, they search, they map. They look for anything that answers back. So this is like playing hide and seek. If you're starting in the open, you're going to get found. If you're easy to see, you get picked first. But if you're not visible, the game changes. Now think about what visible means to a network. Visible means you have an exposed IP address. It means you have an open port. It means you have a VPN, maybe a gateway sitting there that's saying, try logging in. Visible means you have a tunnel that never closes. And once you're visible, the attacker gets in and they win first. They learn your shape, they learn where the doors are, and they learn what to try next. Now, without the Freeways entry solution, many networks look like normal targets. They can be scanned, they can be mapped, they can be tested. But with the Freeways entry solution, that visibility drops. The exposed doors disappear, the open ports are not sitting out there, the attacker doesn't get an easy starting point. And that changes everything. Because now you're not trying to win a fight after somebody is getting inside your environment, you're preventing the fight from even starting the normal way. So if you only remember one idea from today, remember this. If they cannot see you, they cannot target you. If there's nothing to expose, there's nothing to exploit. Now, I know you're thinking, how do we actually do this? And what makes a network not visible without breaking any kind of operations? And this is what we're going to answer next. All right, now we're going to get into the solution. The Freeways entry solution is a zero trust overlay that sits on top you already have. That means you don't have to rip and replace your network, and you don't have to rebuild your environment. You get to keep your systems, and the Freeways entry solution adds a safer way to connect to them. The main job is simple. Remove network visibility. So instead of having doors sitting out there in the internet, Freeways entry solution makes access happen in a controlled way. This is what it means in plain English. No exposed IP addresses. This means outsiders, they can't discover your systems through any kind of scanning. They don't get a list of targets to try. No open ports. This means fewer front doors that attackers can test. It reduces the attack surface so security teams can defend them. Access only to the exact app or device that you allow. This is important. The Freeways entry solution does not give someone the whole network. It gives them access to one approved service, one app, one device. That's it. Identity verified just in time. The Freeways entry solution checks who the person is before access is granted. Not whoever has the VPN password and not anyone with the right network route. It is identity-based and policy-based. The session exists only while approved work is happening. This is the part that teams love once they see it because access is not forever. This is not a tunnel that stays on for months. This is a short-lived session. When the approved work is done, the session ends. So here's the big win. Instead of exposing your environment and defending it, the Freeways entry solution reduces what attackers can even see. Now here's the next question. If this is not a VPN, what is it? Let's clear up the biggest question I always get. The Freeways entry solution is not a VPN. A VPN is built for a different time. It was built when networks were smaller, simpler, and mostly inside one place. Here's what a VPN really does. A VPN is like giving someone a key to the building. Once they unlock the door, they're inside the hallways. And this creates three problems. Number one, a VPN extends trust. A VPN often says if you got in, you must be safe to be in. But in real life, passwords get stolen, accounts get reused, devices are infected, so the VPN becomes trusted path for the wrong person. Problem two, a VPN gives too much visibility. Once you're connected, you can often see way too much. Not always on purpose, but it does happen, and networks are messy. Permissions get inherited, routes get added for convenience. So a person who only needs the system can end up being able to see everything and reach many systems they shouldn't. This is how small problems become big problems. Problem three, a VPN stays open for far too long. VPN access is often broad and long-lived. A vendor gets access for a project, that project ends, but the access stays. Or maybe a tunnel is set up for temporarily use, but that becomes permanent. Also, VPNs usually depend on things that attackers can find. Visible IP addresses, open ports, and tunnels and gateways that really answer back when they're scanned. So even if your VPN is secure, it creates a door that can be tested. Now here is how the Freeways entry solution is different. The Freeways entry solution does the opposite. So number one, it removes all the visibility. Instead of putting a door on the street, the Freeways entry solution hides the door. Attackers can't scan, they can't see it. Number two, it gives access to one service, not the whole network. So the FreeWave's entry solution does not drop someone into a hallway. It gives them a safe path, and once this path is approved, it's to one app or one device, and that's it. Number 3, it creates a short session, then it disappears. This is huge. The access is not always on. This is not a permanent tunnel. This is a short, secure session that exists only when the approved network and the approved work is happening. So here's the simple takeaway. A VPN says, come into the network. The FreeWave's entry solution says, you may access this one thing for this one purpose right now and nothing else. This is why it reduces risk so much. Now that we understand the difference, on the next slide, I want to explain the idea we keep saying out loud, invisible security for modern threat landscape. Talking about the modern threat landscape, I really want to explain what I mean by invisible security. Invisible security does not mean magic. It means that we stop showing attackers the things they look for. Most attackers work like this. First they scan, then they scan the internet for systems that answer back, then they look for exposed IP addresses, they look for open ports, different VPNs, different gateways to get in, and they look for anything that looks like a door. When they find something, they map it. They learn what it is, they learn what software it runs, and then they try to figure out what to do next. They start picking targets. They look at companies not because they hate them, but because they're reachable. This is why visibility is so dangerous. Visibility gives attackers a list of doors to try. Now here's the shift. With Zentry FreeWave solution, those doors are not sitting out there in the ether. They're not open. Attackers can't scan and they can't see. They can't easily map the environment. They can't easily pick targets. This changes the entire timeline. So most security tools, they fight the attackers later, typically after discovery, after the attacker found the door, and after they've already tested your environment. The FreeWave's entry solution helps you stop the attacker early, way before they get a clean starting point and before they even get an easy target list. So instead of asking, how do we detect them faster? We can also ask, how do we make it harder for them to even begin? This is what invisible security is. Now, you might be thinking, okay, I like the idea, but what does this mean for the team on day-to-day operations? Let's talk about this in the real world. So let's talk about real-world operations. But I want to do this by talking value, not just buzzwords, but real value. If I was going to put that into one sentence, it would be FreeWave solution makes your apps and devices invisible to attackers. And when you're invisible, you get fewer people trying to break in. So let's break this down to plain words. Number 1, less exposure. The FreeWave's entry solution removes those exposed IP addresses and those open ports. This is important because exposed doors create that daily risk. If there is no exposed doors, attackers have less to test. This tactic alone lowers your attack surface and lowers your stress levels. Access that matches real life. Most teams don't want full network access across the board. They want safe access to one thing. This is what the FreeWave's entry solution gives. It gives you identity-based zero trust access for users and devices, meaning the person has to prove who they are, the rules decide what they can reach, and you only get specific app or devices that you're approved to use for approved work. So instead of giving someone a big hallway, you just give them one locked room. Vendor access becomes easier to control. This is where many teams feel the pain today. Vendors are needed, but vendor access is scary because it typically comes broad and it becomes permanent. The FreeWave's entry solution helps you make vendor access smaller, makes it cleaner, and it really makes it easier to turn off. These sessions are just in time, and because access is limited to what that vendor actually needs, it's much easier to manage. Now we have fewer pen test findings. This is real. It's a practical win. Pen tests often find the same things: open ports, reachable systems, and patches that really shouldn't exist. When the FreeWave's entry solution removes visibility, those findings drop. And this saves a lot of time, saves a lot of money, because you're stopped living in the fix it again mentality and you're working towards daily operations. Less daily drama for IT and OT teams. You know the kind of drama I'm talking about. Why is this port open? Who approved the firewall rule? Why does this vendor still have access? And who owns this tunnel? The FreeWave's entry solution reduces these situations because the design is much simpler. Again, no exposed ports, no always-on tunnels, and the access is service-based and controlled. A simpler story for compliance and auditors. Auditors want proof. They want to know who accessed what and why. When access is identity-based, when it's limited, and when it's controlled, the story is much easier to explain. It becomes, here's the policy, here's who was allowed, here's what they accessed, and here's when it happened. So the value is simple: less exposure, better access control, less complexity, fewer findings, and much easier compliance. Really, the next question is, how does this work, and can you show me step by step? Okay, so let's explain how the FreeWave Zentrity solution works in simple steps. So I want you to think of your network like a building. Most companies protect the building by putting a guard at the front door, but that building still has a big sign that says, "Everyone, this is where the door is." This is what happens with VPNs and open ports. The front door is still visible, people can still try to mess with it, and the FreeWave Zentrity solution works differently. It's like a secure hallway that only shows up when the right person asks for it. If the right person never asks, that hallway never exists. So attackers, they don't get that normal door to knock on. The protected system reaches out first, and instead of leaving the door open for the internet to find, the protected system makes an outbound encrypted connection. Then a user asks for one specific thing, not the entire network. So again, just one service, one application, or one device. Then the FreeWave Zentrity solution checks who they are. It checks the identity, and it checks the rules. If it's not allowed, it stops right there. If it is allowed, a short secure session is created. If allowed, a short secure session is created. This is that secure hallway we're talking about. It exists only while the work is happening. When the job is done, the hallway disappears. No always on tunnel, no permanent access path, no open port left behind. The key idea here is that the FreeWave Zentrity solution doesn't just give someone a map to your network, it really creates that safe path to only what they need when they need it for approved use. Now that we learned how the FreeWave solution moves traffic, I want to show you what this means in the real world. So what this slide looks at is that full ecosystem, and it's what you get before, during, and after access happens. Now, before access and before any connection happens, the FreeWave Zentrity solution removes the things attackers look for. We talked about how it eliminates the exposed IPs and the static tunnels that attackers use for scanning. This is important because recon can't happen. So instead of being an easy target, you become hard to find. It also replaces risky access setups like VPNs, PAMs, jump servers, and it replaces this with just-in-time identity-based access. This again means fewer tools, less overlap, and lower cost over time. Now during access, while someone is connected to the FreeWave Zentrity solution, this enforces a simple rule. If you're not authorized, you cannot connect. Even if you are authorized, you only get access to what you need. This helps prevent lateral movement. This is how you keep a small problem from becoming a big incident. After access, you get proof. So with the FreeWave Zentrity solution, we give you clean logs that make forensics and root cause analysis easier. It gives the auditors and compliance teams access to records. This way it's easy to verify who was there, why they were there, and when they were there. It also improves insurance defensibility by showing real zero trust controls in action. So the win is not just security here. The win is simplicity, control, and clear evidence. Now let's talk about the ES1000, because this is the part that makes FreeWave solution real in the field. The ES1000 solution is a secure industrial edge platform designed to host and enforce Zentrity solution in operational and remote environments. Let me say that in plain words. A lot of companies have important systems in hard places: remote sites, plants, substations, facilities with limited IT staff, places where you can't just open a port and hope that it's fine. The ES1000 is built for those places. It gives you a trusted, secure way to run the FreeWave Zentrity solution at the edge where the work actually happens, so you can get what you need without exposing the environment. This matters because edge environment usually creates tough problems. Connectivities can be unreliable, physical access is hard, vendor access is still needed, and you need strong security without breaking operations. The ES1000 solution helps you solve that with a single platform that is designed for industrial reality. I want to talk about an important detail that makes this even easier. The ES1000 solution includes a global multi-carrier SIM. This includes 200 megabytes of data per month with the FreeWave Zentrity solution. That means you're not just buying security, you're also getting built-in connectivity value that's distributed across all of your remote environments. So instead of saying we have to buy security and figure out connectivity later, you're getting a package that supports both. And the reason we keep saying operational is this: operational environments need security that's strong, it needs to be simple, and it has to be reliable. The ES1000 is designed to be just that and create that foundation within your organization. Now, the Zentrity FreeWave solution is designed to make operations simple. but we also want to make cost simple. On that note, this is not a giant budget request. This is not a long, painful project. These are dollars per day. And when I say invisible, I mean you reduce what attackers can discover and what they can target. I want to translate this into real business value. So what you get for dollars per day, you reduce the number of exposed doors, you reduce the always on access path that become risky, you reduce all the work managing expectations and firewall changes, you reduce the changes that vendors need for access to become permanent or become problematic, and this usually leads to a few simple wins. Number one, fewer tools to juggle, because you're not stacking 5 different things just to control one access path. You have fewer access problems, again, because this is service-based, it is controlled, and it is short-lived. It's easier to grant access, it's easier to limit access, and it's much easier to turn off. We're a smaller target, because if attackers can't see us, they can't find us, and they can't exploit us. They cannot easily start the attack. Now, most companies spend more than dollars per day. They have extra hardware and software to patch access problems. They need VPN support and troubleshooting all the time. They have resource management issues like hours spent creating accounts, opening ports, and then chasing approvals, and even higher insurance pressure and premiums when they risk exposure to hard to defend networks. So really the question I want you to think about is, would you rather keep paying for complexity forever or pay dollars per day to remove the attacker's starting point? Now, if all this makes sense, on the next slide, we're going to go over the next steps and how we can continue our engagement. Now, here's what to do next. Option 1, we would like you to do a FreeWave Zentry solution workshop. This is a one-on-one discussion to find the blind spots in your current security posture, and we help you map the quickest logical solutions to keep you safe and secure. Option 2, we can run a 30-day FreeWave Zentry solution trial to validate our claims before you buy. And option 3, we can work through authorized partners. So if you want a partner-led deployment and ongoing services, we will route you correctly. To start, we would like you to email sales@freewave.com and we will point you in the right direction for the right next step. I want to thank you for your time today. Again, my name is Andrew Livingston. I'm a senior sales solution consultant here at FreeWave. I want you to remember one thing. Nothing to expose means nothing to exploit. Most security tools, they try to win the fight after the attacker has already found you. But the FreeWave Zentry solution helps change the game earlier. It helps remove all the easy starting points. We help reduce the attack surface. We limit what people can see, scan, and target. The goal is very simple. Fewer doors, less visibility, less risk. If you're thinking we have vendor access challenges, we have remote site challenges, and we have way too many tools to manage access, this is exactly why we're here. Thank you for your time. Again, nothing to expose means nothing to exploit.
Thank you, Andrew. I think he's going to be joining us shortly. I think, oh, there he is. So thanks everyone for joining. We'd like to open it up now for any questions you might have. And Andrew, some questions that were given to me prior from somebody that couldn't join. One of them was, is Zentry deployed on-prem, in the cloud, or both? And how does it work in an OT environment?
Yeah, thank you, Sue. So Zentry can be deployed on either or both. So we really want to give flexibility for anything that's cloud-based or any kind of centralization, anything that's really on the edge or near the assets.
Great. All right. Another question, how quickly can this be implemented, and does it require redesigning our existing networks?
Yeah, I love this question. And no, we don't need anyone to rip or replace anything. That's really not our intent. We're designed to be an overlay. So what we want to do is we want to encourage you to start with what we call like a proof of value to make sure it fits your proof of concept in other terms. And deployments can take really as little as a few minutes. They don't take days or months.
Okay, great. John Rue sent in a question. Do you have any examples of deployments for utility applications?
We have examples, but that might be something we should follow up and send to them.
All right. Another question. How is Zentry different from solutions like a VPN that we already have?
Yeah, so that's perfect. So the biggest thing with VPNs and Sentry is VPNs require public access and public IPs and always on tunnels. When we're looking at VPNs, we're not looking at the person, we're really looking at that connection. And that's not what Sentry is. So remember with Sentry, we don't need any always on tunnels or static IPs. We create that overlay and that network when we need it, but we're also securing the person, the time, and what they're looking at.
Okay. Another question, can Sentry support both IT and OT teams without creating a access conflict? Sorry.
Yeah, we can absolutely do that. So we have one single platform, we have role-based permissions, we have those controls allow any of the teams and identities and policies that can be accessed. So really we want to do, again, by who, when, where, and why.
All right, great. There's one question that has come in from Jared. Can Sentry be leveraged to allow access to AD for authentication purposes? Not a VPN, but one for time log on or initial log in to the computer.
Repeat that question. I want to make sure I understand it.
Can Sentry be leveraged to allow access to AD for authentication purposes?
And what was the rest?
Not a VPN, but one for time login or initial login to the computer.
So the short answer is, yes. If the question is, can we use Sentry for access to our Active Directory? We can, but it's important to really figure out how and where. So we want to know where the Active Directory files fit into the architecture, so the expectations are set correctly.
Okay, great. I think, let's see. You're welcome, Jared. We will leave the question panel open for a minute or two if anybody else has any additional questions. And Andrew, if you just want to run down the 3 things again, that kind of the next steps, what should people be doing?
Yeah, so we have 3 steps that we like to do, and the first 2 are very interactive with our team, and so we would love people to. We have a Sentry workshop. So if you go to sentryworkshop.com, what this is, it's a list of questionnaires across about I want to say 8 pillars around zero trust architecture. This is a self-assessment of where you are within your organization today. It's a fantastic live application. So again, that's sentryworkshop.com. Just go to assessment. You could reset the questions. They are not shared across anybody. And this will give you a nice picture of where you are with zero trust and how we can help you. The second thing that we can do is we can do a 30-day POC for you, or POV. So get in contact with us at sales@freewave.com, and we would love to turn you on, give access to the tunnelers and to Sentry solution. If you require support through a partner, we can help you with that too, and put you onto the right connected partners for that half of it.
All right, great. I think that those are all the questions that we have today. Andrew, thank you for your time, and everyone that joined, thank you for your time. Feel free to reach out to us. Feel free to take the next steps that Andrew mentioned, and we will see you on the next webinar. Take care.
Thank you.